the beautiful country of Egypt already brings so much history with it, and then being so close to the pyramids that have been here for thousands of years, and now we're in 2026 and still Egypt is writing history, and me and Oleksandr are...
I have no idea, how many rounds this is fight. I'm not set if 12 rounds, it's normal, but I don't know. When I have chance, I do it.
The tension just exploded between Oleksandr Usyk and Rico Verhoeven at the final press conference, and now even boxing insiders are split on what happens when these two finally collide. Some believe Rico could shock the world early, while others think Usyk is about to completely dismantle him. But one prediction just crossed the line entirely, and it has the entire boxing world talking. One Oleksandr Usyk versus Rico Verhoeven has officially become very real, and some of the final predictions coming from boxing insiders are absolutely surprising. The first reaction comes from Tony Bellew, who gives an unexpected breakdown alongside Tom Aspinall, explaining exactly why Rico could create serious problems in the early stages of the fight.
Is Rico a better boxer than Francis Ngannou?
Yes.
Okay, well, Francis Ngannou dropped the unified heavyweight champion of the world in Tyson Fury. So doesn't sound very ludicrous anymore, does it? If Rico Verhoeven was going in with Francis Ngannou, would he be the favourite in a boxing match?
Yes, I think he would.
Okay, well, There you go.
I do think he would. But I am a little bit biased on Rico's side. But
well, if that's the case, then this guy's got a chance. Because Francis Ngannou gave Tyson Fury an absolute hell of a fight. I'm not saying he beat him. A lot of people do think he beat him. And I understand why they think
Come on, you've been in the ring with Usyk though.
Unfortunately, I have, yeah. But it makes no change on what my opinion is. Rico Verhoeven is dangerous.
But according to Tony Bellew, that advantage only lasts for a couple of rounds before Rico's style starts getting exposed. Bellew believes once Usyk settles into rhythm and applies his trademark pressure, Rico could quickly find himself overwhelmed inside the ring.
The guy's a big lump and he can punch. I'm interested to know.
Does he land a punch against Oleksandr Usyk?
Absolutely. Do you want to bet? He lands a
No, he'll land a punch.
He will land punches on Oleksandr Usyk. He'll be actually took back in the first 2 to 3 rounds by his style and what will happen.
Do you agree?
I'm not sure.
I do. I think, this is only from my experience of sparring boxers, which obviously sparring fighting is different, especially at that level. So there's a little disclaimer for you. But so boxers, right, they've been used to fighting someone who's come through the amateur program in boxing, and they've all got generally speaking, a pretty similar style. They'll throw a 1-2 and a left hook. They work behind a jab. They'll jab to the head and the body. They'll throw a 1-2. They'll throw...
Aspinall, who has previously shared sparring rounds with Rico Verhoeven, believes the Dutch champion's best chance comes from abandoning traditional boxing patterns entirely. Aspinall says bringing something awkward, unpredictable, and unconventional could actually trouble Usyk and make the fight far more competitive than many expect.
When I've sparred boxers in the past, the success that I've had, which is very limited, I'll hold my hands up and say I'm not going out there and pinging like professional boxing and boxing spar, because I'm not, but the success that I have is when I do stuff that they're not used to. I'll be miles out range, I'll dive in and do weird stuff that I won't do the traditional 1-2. So Usyk has a chance of doing that. Rico has a chance of doing that against Usyk, just doing different stuff that he's not accustomed to, like he would be with normal boxers. Does that mean he's going to win the fight? Not necessarily.
Then came the shocking moment. Rico Verhoeven admitted that if things begin falling apart with his game plan, he has even joked about throwing a high kick somewhere around the 8th or 9th round, something obviously illegal in a professional boxing match.
The WBC also has a Muay Thai kickboxing division, so they understand my credentials, and that's how this fight came about, and that's how they sanctioned it. And then again, they can still be critical, but it's not up to me. It's just like, I take it as it comes. Be ready, because I'm coming for those belts.
And this is exactly what Tony Bellew warns Rico to stay far away from. Bellew reminds everyone that this is a fully sanctioned boxing contest with strict rules and clear boundaries. He believes unconventional movement and strange angles may help Rico survive competitively for a short period, but crossing the line into kickboxing tactics would instantly destroy everything. Rico himself admitted that even attempting a high kick would likely end in immediate disqualification within seconds.
He's a bit better than novice, but he'll do things that novices would offset you. When you're a world champion or when you're a world-class fighter and boxer, the worst thing you can do is get in the ring with a novice because they make you look stupid. It's like Tom, if he gets in the ring with a mixed martial artist and he hasn't got a clue, he'll do things that'll go, what are you doing? But they'll take him by surprise. Things that you just raw novices would do. And I think that's Rico's best chance and opportunity, really.
Already sounding completely unconvinced, Teddy Atlas says he sees almost no realistic path to victory for Rico against Oleksandr Usyk. Atlas explains that fights like this often get treated like entertainment spectacles, but Usyk is not the type of fighter who plays into those narratives. He referenced Anthony Joshua stopping opponents with ease and believes Usyk would finish the job even faster because, in his eyes, the challenge is simply too simple for a fighter of Usyk's level.
You know, it's some agreement there. People were wondering that, I think, for a while with Joshua and Paul. You know, was an agreement to move around for a few rounds, then take the gloves off and go at it. And of course, Joshua, I think, stopped him in the 6th round, if I remember correctly, whatever it was. But a lot of people didn't think it was go that long. We got that one right. We had the over.
For Teddy Atlas, the real question is not whether Usyk wins, it is how long he chooses to extend the punishment. Atlas believes Rico's guard will eventually collapse under pressure, saying Usyk will split it apart with combinations and relentless accuracy. His prediction is brutal. Usyk by stoppage somewhere around the middle of the 4th round.
It's like having a heavy bag in front of you. Usyk will put punches together. He'll take what you give him. You know, he'll go to the body, he'll split the guard with the uppercut. You know, there's so many things he could do. And again, it's going to be not can he do it, does he want to do it? Does he want to do it, and how fast does he want to do it? Does he want to do it when the bell rings or go after it? Then he breaks the guy down. I think the over-under is 3.5, right? Something like that.
Usyk versus Rico has already convinced the boxing world of one thing. This fight will have fans on the edge of their seats from start to finish. Max Kellerman compares the matchup to a Rocky movie, saying that if Rico can survive the distance, that alone almost counts as a victory. Mike Coppinger agrees, explaining that even as the underdog, if Rico can stay competitive and win a few rounds, he earns major respect.
Sly stood his ground and made something great. Rocky loses the fight, but by going the distance, he really wins, right? So obviously, if Rico Verhoeven somehow actually beats Usyk, he will have pulled off an all-time upset. But
joining the conversation, Malik Scott, a former sparring partner of Oleksandr Usyk, pushes back against the Rocky comparison completely. Scott says it is unfair to frame Usyk in that way because Rico is stepping into the ring with one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of this era. According to Scott, Rico's only chance is to fight with the mentality and toughness of Derek Chisora, pushing beyond every limit from the opening bell until the very end.
Sylvester Stallone, Rocky, the character, his record was like in movie land, 56-22 with 54 knockouts or something like that in movie land. Usyk is not movie land. Like I keep saying, Rico is going against, to me, probably can be considered one of the best fighters of all time in every weight division.
As fight night gets closer, the conversation is no longer about whether Rico can actually win. It is about what would even qualify as success in defeat. Ade Oladipo believes expectations have already shifted heavily toward Usyk. However, he also says that if Rico can make it beyond the halfway point while remaining competitive under pressure, the boxing world will still give him genuine respect afterward.
Like a Rocky win, a win where you don't actually get the W, but coming out of the fight, you're like, okay.
All right, I'll say this. I felt like Jake Paul had a win against AJ, right? You lasted more than 4 rounds. If he lasts more than 6 rounds, right? Second half of the fight, I can respect that. Because Usyk can't be joking and playing around with him.
No, not at all.
That's not his DNA.
Entering the debate is combat sports veteran Alistair Overeem, who believes the true X factor of this matchup is exactly what makes it so fascinating. Overeem points out that Rico brings years of experience from a kickboxing background, while Usyk represents elite-level pure boxing. He describes Usyk as a decoder, a fighter who studies opponents, reads their habits, and systematically breaks them apart round by round. Overeem believes that process will seriously test Rico's mentality, fight IQ, and composure under pressure.
The way I see Usyk is as a gigantic code breaker. So he is somebody who just deciphers people and breaks codes. And he just sees Rico as, hey, this is like an unknown code.
Alistair Overeem also believes Oleksandr Usyk carries far more pressure into this fight than Rico Verhoeven does. He explains that if Rico loses to one of the greatest boxers alive, very little damage is done to his reputation. But if Usyk somehow loses to a kickboxer making the transition into boxing, Overeem says the impact on Usyk's legacy would be enormous and would completely change the way the boxing world views him.
There's a big chance of him being embarrassed, but let's be honest, Usyk has embarrassed many fighters and outclassed many fighters. So for him, for his first fight to be outclassed by an Usyk is not a shame. And actually people are expecting that. So, and that is his goal to kind of course, he's coming into this fight to win the fight, but even if he is able to just put on an exciting fight, he'll have done better than most. So again, there's not much to lose for him into this.
Many experts now believe that if Rico simply survives beyond the halfway point, he earns major respect automatically. Alistair Overeem has already described Usyk as a fighter who slowly deciphers opponents instead of chasing reckless knockouts early. Tony Bellew, who actually shared the ring with Usyk, agrees completely. Bellew says Usyk does not just attack directly. He studies, adapts, and then begins breaking fighters down with precision. Bellew predicts the fight could potentially reach the 8th round before Usyk fully takes control and reveals the gap in skill.
I think this fight will be very exciting for the 6, 7, maybe 8 rounds it goes. I think Oleksandr Usyk will not want to go in there and really... He never really goes in look to do damage straight away and early. I think he'll have a look at Rico Verhoeven. He'll download what he's doing. He'll figure out what the feints will do to him, which side he'll draw him on. You know, he'll hit certain parts of the body. He's going to show you feints that make you do certain things and go in certain strategies and formations of which way you'll play it. Once he's downloaded all this, he'll get rid of Rico Verhoeven. He'll just have 2.
Giving his own prediction, Gareth A. Davies says the contest may look competitive early for Rico, but he does not expect that momentum to last. Davies is predicting Oleksandr Usyk to secure a stoppage somewhere between round 7 and 9, with his official pick landing in round 9. He believes that once Rico gets dragged into Usyk's pace and rhythm, the pressure will slowly begin breaking him down.
And how does Usyk win? I think Usyk stops him, and I think he stops him between rounds 7 and 10. If you're making me do round betting, I'd go round 8 or 9, maybe round 9. I think it'll be good and competitive in the first couple of rounds, but I think Verhoeven will be...
In breaking the matchup down further, Gareth A. Davies insists that Oleksandr Usyk's footwork will become a major issue throughout the fight. He points out that even Tyson Fury, a much larger fighter with elite boxing intelligence, still struggled badly against Usyk. Davies believes the same pattern will eventually repeat itself here. Once the fight moves into the later rounds, he expects the momentum to swing completely toward Usyk as Rico gradually gets broken apart.
That's very, very clever. And you look at how clever Fury is in the ring, how good his IQ is. He was outboxed twice by Oleksandr Usyk, certainly in the second half of the first fight and for most of the second fight.
The entire boxing world is watching closely to see what unfolds inside the ring, and early predictions continue building momentum. Adam Catterall and Nick Pete believe Rico will enter the fight with a highly unconventional style that could genuinely surprise people early on. They say Rico's biggest opportunity comes during the opening 3 rounds, while Usyk is still reading his movement, rhythm, and timing.
Rico will throw differently. He's not an orthodox boxer, is he? So I think from an offensive point of view, it will be interesting to see how he throws his shots.
They also explain that the biggest challenge comes from the difference between kickboxing range and boxing range. Even with Rico's toughness and technical ability, they believe controlling distance against a specialist like Usyk will become extremely difficult. In their opinion, Usyk's ability to manage space and dictate positioning is where the fight slowly starts turning in his favor.
I think he's going to surprise a lot of people with, one, his technical ability and how tough he is.
Even with most predictions leaning heavily toward Usyk, there are still some who believe Rico Verhoeven has a path to surprising everyone. Peter Aerts admits the smart money is clearly on Oleksandr Usyk, but both he and Ernesto Hoost still believe anything can happen in a fight of this magnitude. They point to Rico's physical tools and the improvements in his boxing ability as reasons why an upset, or at least a competitive performance, cannot be completely ruled out. 2014s. So after all these predictions, one thing is absolutely clear. Nobody fully agrees on what finally happens when Oleksandr Usyk and Rico Verhoeven collide inside the ring. But the entire combat sports world will be watching for the same reason, to find out who ends up being right. If you enjoyed these predictions, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more fight breakdowns, exclusive reactions, and expert analysis as Fight Night gets even closer.